It's nefarious, man. Like, the brain works in fucked up ways.
The mind is one of the most deceiving, manipulative pieces of equipment, flesh, human bodies on earth. I never have trusted my brain.
All of that weight lives in your head, and you are the decision maker.
Psychology of entrepreneurship.
Hi, it's Ronsley. If this is your first volume, welcome. This is a weekly series where I go inside the mind of an entrepreneur, artist, athlete, academic to decipher what is the psychology of our decisions. I'm Australian, and I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians throughout Australia and recognizing their continuing connection to land, waters, and community. I pay my respects to them and their cultures and to elders past, present, and emerging of the land I am standing on today. Extend my respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who listen to this podcast. My next guest has won an award at the World Health and Wellness Congress, as well as awards from Vogue's Best of Industry, GQ's Under 40, and Time's Power Man of the Year. His name, Luke Coutinho, and he and his team literally cure cancer, amongst other illnesses and diseases that we've all been told that we can just, quote, live with. He's highly sought after, and he has to preface everyone that hears about him for the first time with this disclaimer. I am neither a god nor a guru. I am not a healer or a doctor or a cult leader. I am Luke Coutinho, and I practice in the field of integrative lifestyle medicine and life coaching, end quote.
I'm not going to pretend to be someone who studied a lot. I studied what I liked to study. I could never understand complicated. Whether it was an equation in chemistry or physics or whatever it is, I could never understand complicated. I still can't. You show me a P&L sheet, like I have this aversion. I can't see too many numbers on a sheet or all of that stuff. But that turned out to be a skill. Instead of me looking negatively at it, I've learned to look for simplicity within complicated health problems. That's what our gift is. That's what my gift is. So in a complicated case with cancer and diabetes and everything else, I'm able to see a gap which everyone's missed, which is simplicity. And just by getting them to eat right, manage the side effects of the medication, get them to manage their stress levels and everything else, we have patients in remission today. Okay. And I'm not saying it's only because of me. It's because of a diverse team. The oncologists, the chemo, everything's worked. But we've been able to keep a certain amount of people in remission and put them there compared to a couple of people who are not able to get there, who don't do anything but just take the drug. So we see that. And, so I believe I can only see simplicity. And I can't see complicated things. When I'm presented with a complicated case or a complicated situation, my mind will only find, in the simplest possible ways to be effective. And that's worked for me. I'm not ashamed of that. Simplicity has worked for me. Absolutely. I look for ways to make complicated issues simple so it becomes easy for me to understand and easy for me to do. And that's the same kind of skill I use. We have very complicated cases, and I have people in my team who are way more qualified than me. It's as simple as that. The case goes to them when it's complicated. We all work together. If I can't handle something, someone else handles it. Like finance. I don't want to try to be an entrepreneur and manage finance, but I don't mind paying for the best CFO in the industry who will handle my finance, and I can sleep at night without even thinking about having to do something that's complicated. And I can put 100% of my energy in my core work, which is my patients. And that works for me.
By the way, Luke and I also studied together. Actually, in all honesty, Luke and I were probably 2 of 8 friends that missed a lot of classes. Because, we kind of did everything from playing cards to going to the movies or finding a place to eat during class hours. We also played a lot of football and cricket in less than ideal situations. But enough about that. In all honesty, I would say that both Luke and I didn't have the best relationship with authority or the faculty at school. I would say that it was just an overload of content for us. A lot of that content, even the teachers didn't know why they were teaching us.
The world is complicated now beyond measures. We have an overload of content. We have an overload of, content consumption. But you would think, because there's a lot of good content out there, and there's a lot of crap as well. But you would think that with so much of content, people are able to actually evolve, not just in health, in every aspect of life. But what happens, and what I've noticed, because we have some of the most brilliant people who come to us sick or with problems, and what they're missing is simplicity. They've forgotten that 2 or 3 generations before us, your parents, my parents, our parents' parents, they didn't have content. They lived their life on wisdom and intuition. Okay, they weren't dying of poisonous mushrooms and all of that stuff. They just knew it because it was tradition that was handed down by the generations with trust. And if you look, lifestyle diseases at our parents' time and our parents' parents, we're at the lowest. Today, we're at the highest. Lifestyle diseases, what? 92% of people are in chronic illness. When I say lifestyle diseases, I also include, cancer, metabolic syndromes, everything that people are suffering with today. And we're stuck there. You would think in a world that has so much, chronic illness shouldn't exist. But then the system is such that there's no money in being healthy and there's no money in being dead. All the money to be made is in being chronically sick. The moment someone dies, they're a liability to the hospital. They need to be out quickly so you can free up a bed. And that's the sad truth no matter what. This doesn't mean the medical fraternity is corrupt. A lot of it is. So is the pharmaceutical, so is the nutrition and lifestyle. There's good nutrition and bad nutrition. There's good allopathy, bad allopathy. There's good homeopathy and bad homeopathy. There's good and bad of everything. But the problem is people are so filled with content right now, and social media and the news has kind of molded our minds. We're like puppets. They control the way we're supposed to believe how life has to be. So, you'll be surprised, where in countries like the US, London, even Australia, because we have loads of patients from there, they don't believe that there's something called lifestyle. It doesn't make sense to them. They don't believe that they can get better without a pill. And we don't ask them to choose between a pill. We're not alternative medicine. We're integrative medicine. We have medical doctors. We have allopathic doctors. We have oncologists on our team. So we believe that you take what you need, but you also change your lifestyle.
So how exactly does Luke's team help their patients transform their lifestyles? They focus heavily on clean and healthy eating to allow for the body to repair, detox, and function, along with providing tools that can be used to help alleviate chronic stress and achieve the right amount of exercise and deeper sleep.
One of the things that annoys me more than anything is the glorification of fast food restaurants. Hosting a food podcast for so many years and cooking for some pretty influential people made me realize how much the mainstream media is literally fucking with common people's knowledge who don't know any different about the situations when it comes to food. And most annoyingly, while growing up in India, all I ate was fresh, healthy, cooked food. Now, McDonald's seems to be the place that the middle class of India take their kids to celebrate their milestone birthdays.
Yeah, so like India, it's status. So people, because it's been advertised that way. So people who are coming into Mumbai city or Goa was waiting for the first McDonald's to open. They saw TV ads and they believe that's status. Wow. I'm giving my kids a good life if I get them to McDonald's or throw a birthday party for them at McDonald's. That's clever marketing and clever advertising. It's all about that. These companies spend billions of dollars to get that ad right. Whatever it is. And that messes around with your mind. I mean, I'm in New York City 3 to 4 times or 5 times in a year. And sometimes I walk into McDonald's just to see and observe. And, once I had a conversation with someone who was obese and we just started talking about stuff and, and he was like, Luke, this is the only thing I can afford. This is the only thing I can afford. So McDonald's has also created that whole thing that, listen, we're just going to feed people either ways. Now, whether that's clever marketing or whatever it is. But, like I said, so somewhere in my mind, like this guy, at least he's getting something to eat. He's not getting, he can't afford anything else, wherever. But coming down to India, which is an educated country right now, and, we have all of these things, but there's the masses, and the masses get influenced by the screen. So it's still a cool thing for people to say, oh, I have a Coke and a burger. And for them, it's like that cool factor, that wannabe factor, like teenagers, like, yeah, I had a Coke and whatever. How do you make you feel? I don't know, it's just cool. So it's not like, oh, I feel good, I enjoyed the burger, the Coke refreshed me and all of that stuff. So a lot of people are living very mindlessly. Goa, the statistics of cancer, obesity, everything's gone up ever since fast food has entered Goa. It's as simple as that. You see long lines of people out there and good families and all of that stuff, But you can't really change them. And once they get the taste of that burger, once they get the taste of that, like even the food is designed to create that that neurological circuit of memory. So like even right now, I can think about a McDonald's French fry and I know how it tastes and I enjoy it and I love it. It's there. It's so embedded. But I also know I've programmed my mind that it's also the worst thing to do. So don't do it. But you see, the impression is still there. So imagine that in kids who don't have the ability to completely control with logic and rationale, but they're getting addicted because they're being fed all of that stuff. So it's a huge issue in Melbourne as well. We go in for, I love the McCafe. The coffee is excellent at McDonald's. So I step in to get a black coffee. But I'm surprised to see the amount of kids and elderly people with arthritis and all of that stuff eating it. But plainly, most of them don't know the effects it has on them. They don't know how bad it is. But I also do believe in balance, Ronsley, because I've seen a lot of people, they eat it. And some of these people, I've seen in America, construction workers, they take a break, eat at White Castle or McDonald's and stuff like that. And some of them are ripped, 6 packs, fit, all of that stuff. And so for them, they just look at food as energy and that's it. So you see the mind coming in play again, but they're ripped. I'm sure their medical parameters are clean to have a body like that. But they're having like 2 double Macs and all of that stuff, a big Coke. And so I also think the mind plays, if we do something with fear, we kind of manifest that. But tomorrow, if I'm going to have a burger and say, okay, this is once in like 3 months and I'm just going to really enjoy it and, value it. It's good. It's there. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So I guess the mind also plays a huge role in the way we do things, with guilt or without guilt.
The mind is amazing, but also one of the most deceiving, manipulative
pieces of equipment, flesh, human bodies on earth. I never have trusted my brain. And unfortunately, I did trust my brain way too much and it brought me down all sorts of paths. It creates paranoia, second guessing, everything else. And it's powerful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing its power. And some people say we use 3%. Some people say we use 10% of our brain. God love us if we ever figure out a way to use 50% of our brain. We will become mechanical and machine-like, which is already happening in the world. That is who we are becoming. We are becoming machine-like.
That voice is Philip McKernan in Volume 1. I talk a lot about the things you do on a regular basis. Like, what are your reps? What are your regular repetitions? That is why I like certain routines, like I expressed a few times in other volumes before this one.
If I don't have a routine, my day is going to collapse because for me, everything works on time. Every single thing works on time. So if I have a patient who's even 5 minutes late, of course, if it's a genuine reason, we accommodate it. If it's not, sorry, you go back to the end of the wait list no matter what, because there are other patients who need it. So everything is routine for me, whether it's the time I wake up, my meditation. I can't start my day without meditation. There's no doubt about that. That centers me. But there are some days where I don't want to meditate. I just don't feel like meditating at all. But I still use that time to sit over there and maybe read a book. I may not meditate, but I want to keep that time which I've slotted out for meditation. So it doesn't get confused in the mind. So yeah, everything is routine. Everything is a timetable in my life. If I'm on a holiday, then I prefer to break that completely because I also want the mind to know that it can relax and do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I think routine is what has saved us a lot of time because in our field, time is everything. Time is everything. Time is life in our field. The more patients we can handle in a day and at least get them set on their course, the better we feel. But sometimes a big wait list was very flattering at one point because we would have all the media channels. Oh, Luke, it's difficult. You have 1,000 people. It makes you feel important. And then all of a sudden, when you're going to bed at night, that importance turns more into fear because those are 1,000 sick patients. You're feeling good about it, but you should be finishing those 1,000 patients as quickly as you can. So I think being grounded is extremely important. You can have everything. You can have abundance. You can have fame. A lot of people say these are the root causes of all evil. Money is the root cause of evil. Fame is. It is if it manages you. It is if you become its bitch. It is if you become its slave. But if you're not, I think it's beautiful because with excess abundance, you can do so much. You can give back. You can add value to society if you do it the right way. But the moment it becomes greed, which again, you're connected only to the outer world. So what you have is never enough. It's never enough. So when people come and say, hey, Luke, we put in $750 million. We'll make your company a unicorn. This. It sounds all great. And then you think when you go back home, because I believe in something called reflection. I end my day with reflection. That's a routine, no matter what. 10 to 15 minutes, I want to replay the things that happened in my day, the good or the bad, because there's always something to learn from. So I'm very, very, very close to the Sheikh of Dubai, the Green Sheikh. We've written a book together. We do a lot of work together. So he taught me reflection. He said, you can only feel fulfilled in life because you can be happy and content because you have money, patience, fame. But to feel fulfilled, you have to reflect, because when you go through reflection, you're reliving, that case which you helped, that little boy whose pain you took away, or whatever it is, and you feel good and motivated. Reflection is part of my routine as well.
Meditation is huge. And if there's anything you can do regularly, reps, even if it is for 1 minute, it is probably to meditate. And this is Emily Fletcher, who is the goddess in my eyes when it comes to meditation and mindfulness. This is volume 27 of The Psychology of Entrepreneurship.
I found meditation, cured my insomnia on the first day, stopped going gray, didn't get sick for 8.5 years, started enjoying my job again, and just thought, why does everyone not do this? Left Broadway, went to India, started a 3-year training process to teach. Since graduating, I've taught 20,000 people to meditate, opened up a brick and mortar studio in New York, created the world's first online meditation training, which is now called Ziva Online. The book has sold over 50,000 copies in less than a year, just came out in paperback. And now the thing I love the most is being a mom to Jasper. It's the thing that brings me the most joy. But the thing I'm most excited about with Ziva is that we're in the process of creating a kids meditation course. And I think it's going to be the world's best kids meditation training. We're working with Emmy Award-winning writers from Sesame Street. We're building our own puppet. It's going to be 3 different age ranges. We're working with Dr. Shafali. We're working with Harvard child psychologists. It's going to be really, really good. And I think the world needs it and is so ready.
When we come back, how Luke built a $250 million business in about 3 years, all from the principle of simplicity.
Psychology of Entrepreneurship.
Our aim with this audio documentary has always been to build a strong community of entrepreneurs and creatives to provide a space where they can use their voice to share their authenticity with the world. As a valued listener, your voice matters too. We love to hear your feedback and ideas, so don't be shy to let us know how we're doing in the ratings and comments. If you have a message for our production team or know someone who would be a perfect fit as a guest, you can find out more information on how to share your input at psychologyofontrepreneurship.com.
Before the break, simplicity, the mind, and why your routine is so important. Now, we're going to focus on the simple. A few months ago, I caught myself with this thought that I wrote down and is now plastered on my wall. Quote, Ronsley, do you complicate things to sound smart or to simplify its explanation? End quote.
So we come down to simplicity. If you ask me, we have a great business model today, touch wood, which we had no intention. I never wanted to become an entrepreneur. I don't think I have the skills to be an entrepreneur. I'll be very honest with you. My entire business today, which is probably, and I want people to know about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We're maybe about a $250 million business in about 3 years. Okay. And we never had a plan. The day I got into consulting with people, I decided to do just one thing, be effective. Just be effective. And I decided to share. So I went on to social media because one morning I came out of hospital and I was fed up of seeing 30 to 40 patients with the same symptom, acidity and constipation. I was like, there's got to be a better way. I want to do more challenging things. I want to be able to handle more challenging cases. So I said, let me just go onto this Facebook Live and talk to people about constipation and acidity because it's something you don't need a consult. You should know what to do at home and prevent it. So I went on, I did my first video was on acidity. I got 1 view, a couple of abuses, but I was like, okay, the next day I did constipation. And then someone messaged me saying, hey, Luke, I've done what you said for 5 days. I don't have acidity. Then a week later, someone says, my constipation's disappeared. For 15 years, I've had it. So I got motivated. I said, wow, something's working. So I continued to see patients, but I always figured that the things that can be fixed with education and awareness, I'll never go on to social media and say, take this pill and take that pill. It's wrong because you can't do it without a diagnosis. But acidity and constipation, migraines and headaches, things which are caused by poor lifestyle can be fixed with good lifestyle. So that was 4 years ago where I started off doing videos. And believe me, our business got built out of sharing. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs expect to hear the story that you had a vision and you had all of that. I didn't. I had no idea how to run a business. I had no idea what equity was. I had no idea about a P&L or anything like that.
A long time ago, an Italian guy named Leonardo said something that was true back then, right now, and will be true in the future. He said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So, please let me show you 3 examples of how something simple or easy can actually be very sophisticated or hard to do or create. My first example would be the skateboarder Tony Hawk. When that guy is flying up there 50 feet in the air, performing all his tricks, it looks pretty easy when he does it. But we all know it's really sophisticated to get to that level. My second example would be the cartoon, South Park. I love it. First time I saw it, I thought, hey, I can draw that. Probably you thought the same. But even though the cartoon, the animations in the script look so simple, they are genius and sophisticated, something you and I could never recreate.
Richard Strava goes on to talk about the third example being Einstein's E equals mc squared equation, which means energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. That equation basically shows that energy, E, and mass, M, are interchangeable. They are different forms of basically the same thing. I hope that made sense. But Richard Strava goes on to talk about how that one equation is the basis for a lot of the science and discoveries that followed. Like, did you know E equals mc squared gave us 1, which is the obvious one, the atom bomb, 2, radioactivity, PET scans, and carbon dating. The latter on that list allows us to date ancient material. And 3, and above all, which is the main one, the explanation of the cosmos and the universe, including the Big Bang and our discoveries of other worlds. Also, because of that equation, quietly, a simple walnut has enough potential energy within itself to power a city. Before we move on to Luke, simplicity and how he cures complex illnesses, I wanted to leave you with how to simplify your life.
A lot of us want a simpler life. We often feel overwhelmed by busy schedules, long to-do lists, and responsibilities. It's known that happiness is found in simplicity, but most people don't know how to simplify their lives. This video will go over 8 ways to simplify your life, and we are starting right now. 1. Stop trying to do everything for everyone. Everyone, from your boss, to your friends, to the government, wants you to be a certain someone and do certain things. Instead of trying to be all those identities, you should be yourself and focus on yourself. If you can't make a commitment, don't do it unless it's important. It's not worth trying to fit it in your already busy schedule. You can't make everyone happy, and you won't like everyone. It's impossible to make everyone happy, so stop trying to do so. People will be disappointed in you for various reasons, some of which make sense, while others don't. Just focus on being the best version you can be for those around you, instead of trying to be all those identities, and life will be more simple.
I really suggest checking out the other 8, and you can find that in the link in the show notes at psychologyoфentrepreneurship.com. But Luke was telling us about having no idea about equity or profit and loss statements before I kind of interrupted him. Sorry, Luke. You were saying?
You know how it was back in high school, math. I was never in class for math. So I'm the same. I don't understand math, and I don't try to understand it. Instead, I've hired people who can do it for me. It's as simple as that. So coming back to that, one fine day, the more I started sharing, I had a wait list that went at 100 people and 200 people. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Let me hire a nutritionist now, train that person under me. So I was in Singapore meeting some clients, and I hired a girl in India to help me with that. And then from 1, we moved to 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, 60 nutritionists, 25, doctors and all of that stuff. And we're a team of 100 strong people with people all over the world handling people right now. And yet, I'm telling you, there was just one vision. Just be good at what you are at. Be good at what you're good at, which is be effective. I didn't want to be the best. I wanted to be effective. So if I have 10 patients, I want 10 patients to get better. And I believe that our entire business model has been built out of that one vision, which is be effective, and automatically people are going to come to you. And an entire business. So my wife, Natasha, was working at IBM. And at a point, I didn't know how to handle money coming in because I just wanted to meet my patients. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to try to be this or try to be that. So she was a project manager. I brought her in. She built everything back end, all the operations and stuff. And we're a family grown business today. We don't have any loans from banks. We've never raised capital because we've just believed, keep it simple. I want to be busy meeting my people. And the more effective we are, that's how we grow. So today we have thousands of patients and we don't have the time. So now we're looking at using tech to scale up. But it's a beautiful story and we're not in a hurry. We can easily become a $500 million valued company in the next 1 to 2 years. But if you honestly ask me, that's not our goal. We're happy. We're good right now. And I think scale is good for certain businesses, but a business that requires the human touch, you got to be very gentle with that scalable model because you don't want to lose out that effectiveness. We deal with dying patients. They want to talk. They want to be there. Their families. I can't have AI replace that. I can't have tech. AI can maybe take care of 50% of, basic lifestyle cases and all of that stuff. But what we're on right now is something good. So honestly, that's our story. I don't have any MBA skills. My wife she's good at what she does. And we've decided to keep it in the family because we don't want investors to come on board and tell us how to work. I believe we are successful today because of our team. If my doctors and my nutritionists don't perform, we can't be effective. So I can proudly say we have the highest paid team probably across the world because we beat all US standards of pay, all Australian standards of pay. We pay way above. The simple model is if I grow, you grow. So if we're able to fix a client and I'm growing, I want you to have half or more of it. So my nutritionists are the best paid across the country, probably the world, and our doctors as well. And that works for me because I need happy people who are handling dying patients. I need happy people who are handling sick patients. I don't want them to have to think about loans and money stuff. So this is a model that just, I figured, what do I want to be happy? How can I make that happen for my team? And touch wood, we've made it happen for our team. And the model just works beautifully without us having to try to build a corporate structure, focus on people management and all of that stuff. So honestly, that's our story. It's really that simple. We've not done anything out of the blue. It's just grown organically and we've just flowed with the whole concept.
Did you know that companies with happy employees outperform their competition by around 20%? This might be because studies have shown that happy employees are 12 times more productive.
With all that knowledge, it is really important that you understand the concept to tie all this information together. It is the concept of your inner and outer world.
Inner world and our outer world. These are the two worlds we live in, period. Everything else is superficial. So most people today are connected to the outer world, which means if you're constantly connected to the outer world, you're also controlled by the outer world. Who said what? What's the latest fad? What should I dress into? What should I have? How much money should I have? You're being pulled. You're like a puppet. And that's why people are constantly seeking validation. It's good to be exposed to the outer world because we learn, we can be mentored, we can pick up new ideas, we can get motivated, we can get inspired. But we also have to be connected inwards. It's like an anchor that keeps grounding us, pulling us back down. So if we're connected inwards, and that happens through meditation, a spiritual part. When I say spirituality, I'm not talking about religion. Spirituality could be just someone who's deciding today to live a life of compassion, to be kind, to be respectful, to help other people. That's spirituality. I don't like to use the word religion because honestly, every religion talks about the same thing, but yet people fight in the name of religion. So I prefer not to use religion and just say spiritual. My spirituality may just be to touch every life that I come across to in the best way possible, be kind when I can, learn to forgive, learn to let go, accept, all of these things. That could be my spiritual part. But we have to be connected inwards. So, when we deal with people who have a really bad lifestyle, They are so connected outwards. So me telling them what is bad is not going to work. But me connecting them inwards, saying like, how do you feel at the end of it? So they say, Luke, I feel great when I'm eating it. But 10 to 15 minutes later, I actually feel very low on energy. So I make them connect with that feeling. And then they realize that, hey, this is good for 5 to 10 minutes. And then I have that gap to explain how companies are addicting you towards it. It's your money at the end of today. Are you getting any value out of it? They say, not really. 5 minutes of feeling good, 10 minutes of a sugar rush. So that's how we coach. It's easy to tell people what's bad for them. But once we're able to get them to connect with their feelings about how they feel about something, then they start understanding. But the outside world says this, yeah, but that's not your world. Is that the real world? That's not the real world. That's the virtual world. So I think connection within is what helps us to be really successful with our people, because no one has to see things the way I see it. No one has to see it. Now, I have a belief and I can make a claim on social media, on a news channel, that type 2 diabetes is reversible. Why can I make that claim? Because we've done it with no specific medication, no magic food, with lifestyle. And then people think, wow, he's not selling us a drug. He's not selling us a superfood. He's talking about something which we should be doing and we've not been doing it. So we try to get them to connect inside. If we can establish that connection, then we can affect change. Otherwise, there are tons of people telling people what's good for them, what's bad for them, which exercise to do for a six-pack. But the thing is, the world lacks discipline and consistency. And that's what we try to get people to do. Discipline and consistency. For that, you got to connect within. If you're connected outside, 5 days you're going to be good. Then you see something else and then you're disconnected again. So that's what we believe in.
Before we wind up, I wanted to reminisce a little about school and my education, but I also wanted to pay homage to the late Sir Ken Robinson, who has spent his life working towards changing the education system. He actually has the most downloaded TED Talk of all time, and he begins it like this.
Good morning. How are you? It's been great, hasn't it? I've been blown away by the whole thing. In fact, I'm leaving. There have been 3 themes, haven't there, running through the conference, which are relevant to what I want to talk about. One is the extraordinary evidence of human creativity in all of the presentations that we've had and in all the people here. Just the variety of it and the range of it. The second is that it's put us in a place where we have no idea what's going to happen in terms of the future. No idea how this may play out. I have an interest in education. Actually, what I find is everybody has an interest in education, don't you? I find this very interesting. If you're at a dinner party and you say you work in education, actually, you're not often at dinner parties, frankly. If you work in education, you're not asked, and you're never asked back, curiously. That's I think it strikes me. But if you are, and you say to somebody, they say, what do you do? And you say, you work in education, you can see the blood run from their face. They think, oh my God, why me? It's my one night out all week. But if you ask people about their education, they pin you to the wall. Because it's one of those things that goes deep with people. Am I right? Like religion and money and other things.
Anyway, rest in peace, Sir Ken Robinson. I have never met you, but you have changed my perspectives and thinking in more ways than you can imagine. So, Luke, the education system, thoughts?
The system definitely needs to change, but I have zero regrets. There was a reason, we had to go through that phase in the 11th or at 12. We had to, for me to understand what grace is, how I passed the 12th standard, how we passed it with, I don't even know, because I don't remember studying at all. We missed classes, we missed tuition classes and all of that stuff. And I think we were the lucky ones because a lot of people in our batch failed that year. A lot of people failed in the 12th. So when I look back at that, I kind of use it more as, I can easily say, oh, I'm cool and it was lucky. When I look back, I think that was grace, and it also made me decide how I want to move forward. From science, I moved straight to arts. I moved straight to Xavier's, and then from arts, I moved into hotel management because it seemed less complicated. And I thought, 11th and 12th, it was something I couldn't handle. I wasn't for science. So if I really look back at it, there's no regrets. And, today when I look at, the health of people, like if you remember, we didn't have toilets. We didn't have toilets in high school. We would pee behind a building, but what about the girls? So just imagine all the girls from 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock, no toilet. So they would not sip on water, which means if you look at health at that point and, how I believe everything I've gone through in my life is, if I look at it positively, there's a learning, and I can use that learning to infect change in, the work I try to do. And, so now we'll work with a lot of schools. And for me, hygiene is number one. Do kids have the ability to pass a motion or urinate when they want to? What about the canteen and the food? What about, how engaging is the education system? See, we never had sports. And we were young. At that phase in our life, we're meant to play football. We're meant to play cricket, but we wasn't there. So we broke the rules to make that happen. But imagine an education system which has sports in it and, and your physics and everything else. Then you're more balanced. And I think you have a more holistic education. So that was missing, but we chose to do it either ways because we were in that phase of our life, and absolutely zero regrets. Absolutely zero.
Psychology of entrepreneurship.
Coming up on the psychology of entrepreneurship.
Life is a team sport. We actually have to help our children develop the skills to get on with other people, because that's how they're going to be successful. As we looked in March around the world and we saw empty streets, people inside, empty cities, that was actually the largest act of kindness ever on this planet. Because we are not going to stomp out bullying, I can tell you that now. Bullying is rampant throughout society. If you look at what happens in corporate, there is bullying all the way along.
Psychology of entrepreneurship.
I interviewed Luke Coutinho because he is the founder of an integrative and lifestyle medicine practice that has people waiting anywhere from 4 months to a year to work with him. He has received several awards over his years of practice, like Vogue Best of Industry, GQ Under 40, Elle Beauty Awards, and many more. He is a writer for several publications like Times Life, Mumbai Mirror, Parent Circle, Thrive India, Elle, Vogue, and more. Luke talks at global events across the world on health, lifestyle disease, children's health, and integrative and lifestyle medicine. His treatments have cured major illnesses, including cancer, type 2 diabetes, acid reflux, and high blood pressure, to name a few. He is an author, a healer, and a friend that maybe knows way too many secrets of mine.
Psychology of entrepreneurship.
This is a Must Amplify production. Special thanks to every guest expert that has appeared on the show. Editing, voiceovers, and sound design by Kaylee Bonnyman and Tiago Vega. Guest research and content by Claire Gould and Corinne Castles. Project managed by Kaylee Bonnyman. Produced and hosted by me, Ronsley Vaz. For more episodes and where to listen, go to mustamplify.com/POE.
Hey, it's Kaylee from Must Amplify. I'm the sound engineer for this volume of Psychology of Entrepreneurship. I'm part of the team that made this production come alive. I work as a part of a global team with our studios based in West End, Brisbane, Australia. If you would like a podcasting checklist, email me at kaylee@amplifyagency.media. That's KAILI@amplifyagency.media. We specialize in finding your voice and making sure it's heard by the right people. If you are considering whether a podcast is a good idea for your business, check out our other show on